Hey everyone, Jessica Coulter here. Today we're going to be talking all about ratios. So if you're wondering who I am, again, my name is Jessica Coulter and I am the CEO and founder of Ace Cookie Tutoring. I help students in the 3rd grade and beyond, all the way up through adults in grad school. I have 3 specialties: middle school math, proofreading and essay writing, as well as ACT prep. So if you have any needs for those 3 subjects or maybe something else, I would love to talk to you. So today we're just going to focus on ratios. So the first thing you need to know about ratios is how to write them. There are 3 ways to write ratios. The first way is with a colon. So in case you're wondering what that is, those are those 2 little dots. So here's an example, 5:2. There is another way, and that is as a fraction. So if I wanted to make 5:2 into a fraction, it will look like this. So 5 is first, so it's the numerator, the number on top, and then 2 would be the denominator, the number in the bottom. And the final way to write ratios is by actually using the word 2. So here's the way it would look: 5, 2, and then the number 2. So these all mean the same thing. They are just 3 different ways to write a ratio. There are 3 problems I want to go over today with you. This is the first one, so it's the very simple way to have a ratio problem. So you might get something like this where it's a picture and then it just wants to know what the ratio is of those pictures. Okay, and then this is also asking for simplified. So what I would do, if this is review for you, is take a moment and figure out this problem, do your best. If you are clueless, and that's the reason you're watching this video, I would recommend going on to the next slide. Otherwise, if you want to take a guess, go ahead and pause the video, come up with your answers, and then check your answers on the next slide. All right, everyone. We are ready to go over the answer and explanation for problem 1. So only listen to this slide if you have tried out the problem on your own or if you're just completely clueless. So step number 1 was to determine how many white diamonds, and there were 12 of those. The second step was to look at the yellow pluses. There were 18 of those. So now we've got 12 and 18, but now we need to figure out how to put that into a ratio. So we would use our 3 different methods we talked about, using the colon, the fraction, or the word 2. And then the next step is to do the simplified version. So the way to do a simplification of a ratio is with the GCF, or the greatest common factor. So if you don't know what that is, then you might want to send me a message either through email, through Facebook, or even just give me a call on that phone number that's on the title screen. So that way I can help you out, and maybe that would be a great lesson. But anyway, so the factors of 12 and 18, here we go. So the factors of 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 12. And the factors of 18, 1, 2, 3, 6, 9, and 18. So what I did, I wanted to figure out what numbers I could divide 12 by, what numbers I could divide 18 by. So these are the numbers that are going into 12, numbers going into 18. So once I have my list, then I just need to decide what number they both have in common. And it looks like the greatest common factor of 12 and of 18 is 6. So I'm going to divide 12 and 18 both by 6. So that gives me my final answer of 2 to 3, or 2 over 3, or however you want to write it. So 2 to 3 is a simplified version of the ratio 12 to 18. Before we move on to problem number 2, just want to let you know that I do offer a Facebook group called Students Aiming for A's, and this presentation is actually part of a math study workshop that is happening in my group. And as I record this, this is actually part of the current workshop. So if you are looking to join the next workshop, maybe about math or writing or science or all sorts of other things that I offer in my group, and you want some free education help for you or your child, make sure you join my group by going to that link on your screen, facebook.com/groups /A's for students. So once you do that, I can help you much more than I can through these videos. So thanks so much, guys. Let's move on to problem number 2. So once you understand the basic concept of ratios, then you're able to move on to different types of ratios. So in this particular example, we are working on equivalent ratios. So we're going to figure out how to fill in those other 4 boxes on the next screen. So again, if you want to try this on your own, feel free. Otherwise, go ahead and move on as we go into how to complete the rest of this rectangle. Okay, now we're ready to go over the explanation for problem 2. So hopefully you have your best guesses, or if you are just ready to learn how to do this, let's get to it. So we need to figure out how to fill in those other boxes. So we had 4 empty boxes, and what we're going to do is we're going to multiply those numbers by the same number. Okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to use 2 and 3, which means we're going to be increasing them by the same factor. I have 7 over 10, and I'm going to increase it by a factor of 2 for those first 2 boxes on the right, and then I'm going to increase 7 over 10 by a factor of 3 to fill up those last 2 boxes on the right. So what that means, I'm going to do 7 times 2, and then I'm going to do 7 times 3. And then same thing with the 10s, because whatever I do to the numerator, I must also do to the denominator. So 10 times 2, and then 10 times 3. So that means I'm going to have 14 over 20 and 21 over 30. So those are equivalent fractions. 14 over 20, 21 over 30, and then 7 over 10 are all equivalent. So we also want to double check our answers. And a way to know I did that problem correctly, that I made sure I have equivalent, is if I do 14 over 20 and I simplify it down, so like we talked about with the greatest common factors, you should get 7 over 10. And I did, so that means the answer is correct. Alrighty, sorry if we got a little cut off on that last slide, but here is problem number 3. So on this one, we are solving for b. So it's a little different than the other 2 problems we've done. I think this one's more advanced. Now there are 2 ways to do this problem, so we'll talk about that in more details on the next slide. But if you think you know how to find out b, then I would suggest go ahead and work this problem on your own. Check your answer on the next slide. And like always, if you're here because you're clueless, then go ahead and keep watching. Don't pause the video. Alrighty, I hope you're ready for the explanation to problem number 3. This is probably my favorite problem in this whole presentation, just because I think it's really easy to do, and I think it's kind of fun. So, 2 different ways to do this problem. Number 1, cross multiplication, or you can use your knowledge of equivalent fractions. So that's what we just talked about. Those same concepts apply to this problem. So let's go ahead and do it with equivalent fractions. So the way we're going to do this is we have 2 known denominators and then 1 known numerator. So the way we can solve for the other numerator is figuring out how those 2 denominators are related. So basically, what times 3 equals 12? Because we had to increase that fraction that has 3 in the denominator somehow. I mean, we had to increase it by some factor. Well, what we did is we do 3 times 4 to get 12. So that means all I have to do to find b is to do 4 times 5, and that will get me b, because whatever I do to the denominator, I have to do to the numerator. Now, let's do it with cross multiplication. What I mean by this is we're literally just crossing from the numerator to the denominator on the other side of the equal sign, and then the denominator to numerator on the other side. So I hope that makes sense. It doesn't really matter if you go top, bottom, bottom, top, or how you do it, but as long as you end up with 3b equals 60, you know you did it correct. So what I do next is treat it like a one-step equation, solve for b, get it by itself. The way I do that is to divide by 3 on both sides, and that will solve the problem and give me the answer for b. So if you're a little confused on one-step equations, I do have another tutorial all about those, so I might check those out on my YouTube channel. So either way, if I did cross multiplication or if I use my knowledge of equivalent fractions, I find out that b is equal to 20. All right, everyone, that is everything. So thank you so much for watching this and listening. I hope you learned a lot all about ratios. If you are looking for some more help with ratios or maybe math in general, or you just think that you could really use some help this year, then I would love to work with you. Schedule a lesson at acecookie-tutoring.com/book online. You can choose between face-to-face lessons, online lessons, individualized, or even small group, whatever is best for you and your needs. And also know that I have an email list, so I would love to send you my monthly newsletters as well as email club exclusive offers. So all you've got to do to join the list is send me an email at acecookie-tutoring@gmail.com and tell me, hey, Jessica, I'm in, send me the newsletters. And also, don't forget, join my Facebook group so you can get some more ratio practice as well as more educational resources. Thanks so much, guys. See you in the next video.